you should believe that coming of Imam Mahdi is very near. Why? Because Allah says, إِنَّهُمْ يَرَوْنَهُ بَعِيدًا وَنَرَاهُ قَرِيبًا. Then he would tell me, Shaykh, even 1200 years ago, the Shia could be told, إِنَّهُمْ يَرَوْنَهُ بَعِيدًا وَنَرَاهُ قَرِيبًا. So this is not going to help me think it is very near, because this was true more than 1000 years ago and can be true even if Imam is going to come after another 1000 years. It's not going to become wrong. So how it can help me to think that this is near? Yeah, so what does it mean that it is qareeb? So this is what I want to understand. If we say it's qareeb, means because in Allah's measures it is qareeb, it doesn't help people. Because it says, okay, something qareeb in Allah's measure can be taking 1000 years. My understanding is this. إِنَّهُمْ يَرَوْنَهُ بَعِيدًا. They are right. وَنَرَاهُ غَرِيبًا is also right. And both of them also can mean according even to human standards and scale. It's far and near. This is my understanding. Suppose you want to go from, for example, this point to this point. For example, this is our situation now. This is the situation of Zuhur. Okay? Many changes should happen till we move from this situation to that situation. If you look at this current situation and what needs to happen, you think it's going to take hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. Why? Because you don't know the straight path. You think you have to go from here to here, come back. For you, how long it takes? If you every line go and come and till you reach here, it takes 1000 years. Because you cannot see straight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the top, He knows how we are looking, and He knows also this. He says it's very near, but you are not seeing it properly and you think it's going to take a long time, and because you don't see it properly, you actually delay it. Because you have taken wrong direction. If you do it properly, it is really near, even in human standard. It can be this year. If you don't do it properly, it can take 1000 years or even 10,000 years. So this is the meaning. Not that, just you say, don't worry, according to Allah's measures, it's nothing. 1000 years is nothing. 10,000 years. No. Even according to your measure, it is near. But if you approach it properly. And if Shia of 1000 years had approached it properly, it had happened. They did the same mistake that we do, and it took long. If we do the same as them, it takes another 1000 years. If we understand and prepare ourselves quickly, then it can happen even this year.
So it wasn't a deception?
No, it was not deception if you say it in this way.
Yeah, if you say it in this way.
But if you know that it's going to take 1000 years, but tell them, it can be near. So till last day of their life, they were waiting, but didn't happen. Then it can be like a deception. You knew that it's not going to happen. Why you told him it's going to happen? The problem is that we think it has a fixed time. And because it's a fixed time, it has to be either far or near. But my understanding is it has no fixed time. The way you look at it and the way you are working for it, it's going to take long. The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at it, He says it can be done quickly. You know, for example, we have hadith that even if it is one day left from this world, لَطَوَّلَ اللَّهُ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ, Allah is going to make it longer so that this happens. Or Allah is going to do islah of Imam's affair in one, for example, night or something like this. What does it mean? One meaning which is very commonly understood is that it's going to certainly happen, and even if one day is left, you should not lose your hope, it is going to happen. But I think indirectly it means that preparation needs just one day. If you prepare well, it takes one day. Like for example, sometimes we say, you know, in one Laylatul Qadr you can achieve whatever you want. Yeah, but normally we take 40, 60, 100 years, and even after that we don't get it. But it was possible even in a moment. You make an honest deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you totally change. We say in some poem that people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they made the journey of 100 years in one night. So it's possible. It could be 100 years, it could be one night. It's not fixed. It's up to you. And in my understanding, the most important aspect of that preparation is social wilayah. If Shia manage to get to that point of unity and organize themselves, we shouldn't bother about what is happening in the world. We should be organized and prepared. And how much you need to be organized? If this we decided we can do it today. Yes.
This explanation helps a lot, and it causes more questions sometimes.
Yes.
So I did some research while you were talking. I went to alislam.org.
Yes.
And I pulled the tafsir for this. The verse before speaks to, so be patient with a good patience. And the tafsir is explaining that this patience, before they behold that the day is far and we see it near, this patience that precedes it entails istiqamah, or steadfastness, and constant forbearance of unalterated by despair, desolation, restlessness. So my question, the new question that came about is, we speak about how the Shia at the time may have taken a wrong route, and that's why it did not happen.
Yes. But Imam Mahdi Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, he is in a very special situation. Because he is not thinking that it's going to happen after 1,000 years and therefore he relaxes or he says, okay, no benefit, he's like a person who is a standby, waiting for the Shia to approach this issue properly so that it can happen anytime. Like for example, suppose your child is stuck in a room and there are 100 buttons there. One of those buttons is the one that can open the door. You are seeing from outside and you are very much waiting that he presses the right button, because you have told him many times that this is the button that whenever you need me, you press this. But the child was careless and said, you know, I press all the buttons and one of them. So he didn't learn it. So it's going to take time, but you are not able to leave and say, okay, because it's going to take a long time, let me go and have a cup of coffee and come back. You have to be there in case if he presses the right button. So Imam alayhi salam is in a condition that he has to be prepared, because maybe the Shia wake up and want him, need him right now. It's not that he thinks that it can happen after 1,000 years, so that he says, okay, now I don't need to be in a standby. It's a very difficult condition that if you are waiting for your community to open their eyes and see what they have to do, and it's just there, but they cannot see it, and you are waiting and praying, and you understand the situation.
It gives new perspective and new light to our understanding, and it sort of leads me to ask the next question as to, and I don't know this, so forgive my ignorance here, why did he begin to go into Ghaybat al-Sughra and then Ghaybat al-Kubra, and could the Shia have done social wilaya so that Ghaybat al-Kubra would have not happened? And how can we inform ourselves from that historical perspective, so that we can do the social walaya and do it in the right way,
So, if I am right, correct, my understanding is that now that we look at the history, there was no appropriate time for Imam to come. He had to wait. But if we were going a long history, there was no reason why Imam could not have come earlier. Imam could have come 400 years ago, could have come 500 years ago. And I think, because Allah doesn't let him know the time, with every generation of Shia, Imam has the hope that maybe this is a generation who is going to prepare. So he puts his hope in every generation, but every generation are letting him down. So he has to wait. Yes.
So is based on what you have said, Sheikhna, is it basically the states of Ghafla? Because this is where we are most of the time and our lack of knowledge, because if that was that collective knowledge contributing
and wisdom. Maybe we have knowledge but no wisdom. We know many things, but we don't know what is the thing that we have to do now. What is the priority? Yes.
You said about how like basically it's near for us, like we do about we need to prepare ourselves for the Imam. I mean, is it possible though for the Imam to come near because of, for example, the evil forces, because for example, the evil forces are preparing themselves, right? So when they prepare themselves fully, right, then after they, for example, based off hadiths, they do what the hadiths say, doesn't that make the Imam might be appear instead of us being prepared?
Yeah, I don't think that the problem is that they have not reached that level of viciousness yet, and we have to wait for them to do more mischief or become more corrupt or do more zulm. No, I think zulm is already a lot. Even the Quran says ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر ما كسبت أيدي الناس. Even at that time ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر. The main thing is that the camp of Imam is not ready. And this is a ongoing problem. What was the problem in time of Imam Ali or Imam Hussein or other Imams? Was it the problem that the other camp was not doing enough zulm? Or the problem was that this camp was not ready? So when we say Imam Yamla'ullahu bihil arda qastan wa adla, we should not think that ba'dama mula'at zulman wa jura is a condition. And till that condition is not fulfilled, Imam, no, that's not a condition in the sense of shart. That is a situation, not a kind of condition that it has happened, which has been there. This side has not happened. I think today zulm is more than enough. You cannot say earth is not filled with zulm.
That's not really what I meant. I'm talking about, for example, you know how there would be like armed forces that would attack, for example, Mecca, like the Kaaba, then supposedly the Imam will appear. I mean, doesn't that have to do with doesn't that have to do with the evil side army attacking the Mecca, then the Imam will appear rather than us being prepared at all?
No, that is something that is going to happen when the movement starts. But movement does not start, and Imam would not declare the beginning of movement unless the Shia are prepared. So when the Shia are prepared and they declare them readiness, and Imam finds that they are honest, they are really prepared, then Imam declares, based on Allah's, of course, permission. What happens afterwards are not conditions in the sense that this is conditional upon those things. Those are things that happen afterwards. Yes.
So in relationship to the topic also where we've been discussing followership.
Yes.
Is it basically we haven't reached the wisdom of being a great followership?
Yes.
That's the reason why.
Exactly. Not only we as whole community or majority have not reached that level, even maybe we have not produced 313 at least good followers. That they could be the council for Imam, or the first, not the first, but one of the first circles, because Imam has different levels of helpers. There are, people in different levels, but that 313 is like a council for Imam, people who help him with his international work. Even that seems not to be complete. Yes.
So, in many regards, the infrastructure is lacking. So this whole leadership followership phenomenon informs me to say that we are going to need, the Imam is going to need medical doctors, and journalists, and pharmacists,
Yes.
and warriors, and
Yes.
and so if I am going to go become a pharmacist, and Brother Jawad is going to go and exercise physiology,
Yeah.
that's determined by leadership. Right, and so that leadership is so the fragmentation that we have causes deep sadness.
Yes. Imagine like you are in an army, and instead of the commander telling what I need you to do, everyone decides for himself. He says, I like to work with this, I like to work with this, I like to be here. So this is an army that everyone is doing what he likes. How can this army be organized?
Really the bottom up phenomenon. So the leadership really needs to, the social walaya has to happen at the leadership level, deep social walaya at the leadership level, and then deep social walaya at the follower level.
At the top it's okay because it's Imam.
Oh, I'm talking underneath the Imam.
Ah, yes.
Right underneath the Imam right now.
Yes.
Right?
But what we have to do is to start from ourselves, because if we wait for example, for Maraj, they cannot do anything without us. So every person should start. You know, I don't know if you heard, you know, sometimes Imam has given messages to some people that Faraj is very near.
Yes.
You know, to some of our great ulama Maraj.
I saw something on
Yeah.
mine.
And my understanding is this, that when Imam was saying them that it's near, means that it was really near. Pardon? But then they missed the opportunity.
This is very frustrating.
Yes.
Yes. So if I am right, you understand how difficult is situation of Imam. That with every generation, especially when, for example, good leader emerges, or you know, there are good people, mu'mineen, Imam has hope, but then see they are not doing well. Yes.
I feel this discussion ties a lot with the ayah where Allah describes the people who are most at loss. هل أدلكم على الأخسرين أعمالا. And what's the antidote to that? Because if we're stuck in a forest and we're looking and we're starving, and we know there's a cabin that has our sustenance.
Yes.
And then it's right, you know, next to us, but there are barriers and we can't see. Maybe it's best to stop.
Yeah.
And then, you know, have another strategy than to kind of keep going and then becoming even further than where we started.
You know, our situation is like someone who is, for example, looking for food or medicine, and it's just in front of him. But he goes to every room, goes on the roof, you know, travels, and doesn't look, it's in front of you. We are looking for something very complicated, but I think the solution is there. It's just in front of us. We need to open our eyes. We have to get rid of ghafla. We think, you know, we should have, you know, billions of dollars, for example, I don't know, lots of, for example, soldiers, or, you know, things like this, lots of buildings, lots of organizations. Yes, this can be helpful, but this is not really what you need. What you need is a change in your heart that doesn't need money or equipment. Change in your outlook. Other things would come. Yes.
I have two questions.
Yes.
They're both related, but so the first question, the 3:13.
How is our time? Is it Ba'id or Gharib? What time is it?
6:30.
We kept Hazrat Yusuf waiting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the
Sabra
3:13.
Jamilan.
What time is it?
6:38.
6:30. So what is our?
I mean, the walk in the woods is our schedule, but it's up to you if you so want to.
When is the walk?
The walk in the woods is about the reappearance of Imams.
Oh, really? Good.
Well, we're enjoying your conversation, so if you wish to extend it, it's no problem. We have breakfast at 8 o'clock in Shomali
Okay.
and our other cabin, so.
Okay. So,
So
shall we continue with this or do tafsir? Or
I think it's related.
Yeah.
tafsir is late?
Our Mahdi is Yaqub's Yusuf.
Yes.
So
So,
the first question is the
yeah.
3:13. is this the only condition or requirement for the appearance, or the 313 might exist, but the rest of the Shia are not at the level?
Very good question.
That's one. Because if we believe that 313 doesn't exist, that's very scary, because during Imam Hussein's time, at least there was 100, right? There were 100 who went and fight with Imam Hussein. So at that time, there's 100 at least who were real, true followers of Imam Hussein. And now, after 1,200 years, we can't even find 313. That's a scary idea. So I don't know the.
Sometimes one person can take a century.
Yeah. The other.
These are very special people.
The other question is, so that interpretation makes sense when we put it in Dua al-Ahd. But what about when we put it in the verse? Does that mean if we work in a way, then the Day of Judgment will probably be closer than if we worked in a different way? So can we take that interpretation in the ayah itself as well?
Yeah. I think I am, of course, maybe wrong. I think 313 have not come to existence together. Maybe we have had many people in the history that if we put them together become 300, but not at one time. I don't think so far at one time this number has been there. And when, this is a very important point, don't say, okay, just 313, it's not going to solve the problem. Yes, it's not going to solve the problem. But if you have a generation that can have 313 people, you can then see how is that generation in general. You know, like for example, if we can have in a society of poets, in one generation, 50 people like Hafiz or like Rumi, then it cannot be just 50% and then zero. It means that you have to have thousands of people closer to that, then tens of thousands, you know, because these are like cream. If you have 313 as cream, below cannot be water. Yeah? So we need a generation that can produce 313 at the top. Yes, and about the second question, about Qiyamah, of course I said that ayah which is put in Dua al-Ahd, maybe the context is different. Because sometimes one point in an ayah becomes like a proverb that you can use it in other cases. But even for Qiyamah, I think Qiyamah is not far, because you can look at it as something which is going to happen after thousands of years. I don't know how long this world is going to last. On the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَلَّا لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عِلْمَ الْيَقِينَ لَتَرَوُنَّ الْجَحِيمَ. Even now it's there. Heaven and hell is there. It's not fixed, but it is there. You look at it this way, but it is in front of you, just behind the veil. You know, this veil is extended for 1,000 years, and you want to go till end of the veil and see it, but even right now it's behind it. It's very near. If someone is looking from top, it's just in front of your eyes. Yes, Muhammad.
So what about, like, we have certain hadiths or foretellings, or I don't know how you want to call it, where they actually kind of name some of the people that will be with the Imam, and they say which regions or countries that they're coming from, you know? So maybe it's possible that, for example, these people just simply haven't existed yet, which is why the Imam didn't come, or do you think maybe these hadith are inauthentic, and they don't, or are these names just representative of the diversity of the 313 or something like this? I don't know.
My understanding is this, that these are not the things that are conditions. These are descriptions of what is going to happen, not conditions. So if, for example, 313 people, but from another selection of countries already, Imam would say, no, you are not that 313 because you are not born there. Do you get my point?
So I guess I'm just wondering, if these aren't conditions, why would they bother even listing them, essentially?
No, these are things that are given to us. First of all, we have to understand their authenticity, but to make us feel that this is something real with lots of details. You know, if I tell you just something is going to happen, you don't take it seriously. But when I give you some also details, you take it more seriously. But these details are not going to stop us. You know, we have bada. Even if something is mentioned, if situation changes, it can happen, change. These are not signs which are not changeable. These are not hatmi that they cannot change. In other words, you have two levels of parameters. One level is necessary, the other is contingent. To have real, true mu'mineen who are united is necessary. To have this many men, this many women from this city, that city, these are contingent.
So in other words, can we say that those hadith might be, those hadith are in Lawh al-Mahfuz, because we say they're authentic, they're in Lawh al-Mahfuz, they're going to happen that way. But
they might be Lawh al-Mahfuz, they might be Lawh al-Mahfuz, but that can change.
But yes, but if you know, if they're going to happen that way, but they can change if they basically, if they're in Lawh al-Mahfuz, they don't change.
Yes.
If this hadith in Lawh al-Mahfuz, it doesn't change, but it could be not in Lawh al-Mahfuz, and we can change that. But then the hadith would not become authentic at that point.
No, it's authentic. Even sometimes the Prophet said something and didn't happen. Isa alayhi salam said something and didn't happen, you know, about that wedding, and we have it in the course on the Quran. Not because they made mistake. That was going to happen unless something overrides. But you can think about it. You don't need to accept it now, but think about it, because I don't want to say this is decisive and 100%, you know, this is the case. This is one humble opinion that I wanted to share with you, but I think it has big impact on feeling the nearness of the thing and how our situation is very, very sensitive, because it can really happen in this generation. Yes?
I have two questions.
Yes.
The first, what's the meaning of subh? Is it just a metaphor to